Good day, my fellow rusty pups. Today I'm going to be showing you a video on how to start up in Rust. It's a beautiful game, wonderful view, all that. At the moment I'm playing on a times 10 server, meaning resources are a bit more easier to come by than on a vanilla server. On a vanilla server it'll take you a lot of time to gather resources and build a base and everything. Now, in the beginning we're gonna start gathering resources so that we can build a base. Now here we have trees, and this here is a metal ore node. Generally you mine those to get some metals like metal fragments and HQM, high quality metal. You use those metals to upgrade your base. Now over here is a sulfur node. You generally melt those down into sulfur, you mix that with charcoal, and wham bam, you got gunpowder. Now as you can see, I'm holding a rock in my hand. This is the first tool you start with. Generally you start with two tools, a rock and a torch. And torch is for nighttime so that you can see where you're wandering around. And there is another third node in the distance, that's also a stone node. Another resource you use to upgrade your base with. And another thing you use to create upgraded tools. So now let's begin by breaking a tree down with the rock. I still find this mechanic absolutely hilarious, whereas you're beating things with a rock to get resources, but oh well. Game mechanics are pretty hilarious. As you can see down by the bottom right corner, I'm gathering the resources and telling you how much I'm gathering per hit. If I hit the X, I gather more resources and faster. But it is not always that easy to hit the target. I will be honest about that. So I don't always do that. But for now, I'll do that with this tree so that I can just show you how it's done. Bash, bash, bash. There we go. I've gathered some resources. Press tab, and there I have 3,750 wood. Now, that's because it's on a times 10 server. If that was a normal tree, I'd probably have like only 125 wood plus minus if I was lucky. Now, let's start with our stone node here. So I can gather some stone and create us some efficient tools. Now, it's as the same as the trees. There is a marker. The little shiny spot is the marker for the stone, the metal ores, and the sulfur ores. If you knock that, you gather the resource a bit quicker. But unfortunately, once again, as I said with the trees, it's the same with the nodes. It's not always easy to hit the mark. So I don't always get the mark, but I try. Let's gather up the stone. Now, I've gathered up the stone. I have 3,750, just the same as the wood. As it would be the same with the wood on a vanilla server, you'd only have like 125 if you're lucky. Now, since this is a times 10 server, there are mods put in place to make things faster. I'm gonna craft tools and it's gonna instantly craft. But if you were on a vanilla server, you'd have to wait anything from 15 seconds to about 30 seconds for the tool to craft. We're gonna build ourselves a building plan, and we're now gonna go look for some hemp so that we can create some clothing. But since I am close to some of these other nodes like the metal ores, I'm gonna gather it as it will be very useful resources in the near future. It's always best to gather as much resources in the beginning so that your late game is a bit more simpler, so you don't have to run around and worry. In Rust, unfortunately, you have to watch base decay and keep an eye on your base. You can't just leave it unattended for too long, or else you'll come back to no base at all. You need the resources to keep your base up. That's where a tool cupboard comes in handy. A tool cupboard is, I'll show you that once we start building our base, is what you throw resources in to keep your base from decaying or disappearing. And that is why we gather in resources as well, so that we can throw the resources into the chests and keep everything going. Now, in Rust you get monuments, such as the docks over there. In monuments you get chests, you get places where you can get resources. There's even barrels you can break down. You get about 4 different types of barrels. Each color represents a different item. Actually, I lie. I think it's 3 different barrels. Yes, blue one. Generally, you get things like scrap from blue ones, like scrap and rope. As you can see, I've gotten scrap, rope, road signs. Road signs are perfect for creating armor. You can create roadside armor with that. It's an amazing thing, and it's one of the toughest armor out there. Now, I have 40 scrap already, but if this was a normal vanilla server, I would only have about 10 scrap out of that. Now, as I said, these places have boxes and chests in that. This is one of the boxes. There we go. I'm almost fully closed up thanks to that. I do not want that tank top, but all the other items I'm gonna keep. What I do in the beginning is I recycle some of the items until I have enough scrap to create workbenches. Workbenches are very useful to create new items and build and carry on with your base. You get different levels of workbenches. You get 3 levels, and the 3rd level is the highest level, and it's the best workbench to have. But it requires, unfortunately, a lot of scrap, and that's why I recycle the scrap, so that I can build up my workbenches as fast as possible. Not all the buildings will have boxes or chests in them, unluckily, but that is Rust for you. You have to scavenge to survive. I myself quite enjoy Rust because it's a getaway from the real world. It's a nice game to play with friends and all. Unfortunately, if you're on a non-noob friendly server, there's a high chance of your base getting attacked and raided by other players. So that's where I'm going to show you how to improve your base and make sure that it's safe for others not to raid. Now, what I'm using now is a recycler. I'm going to recycle all of these objects for now in the beginning, so that I can get the scrap necessary. As I said, it's best to build up all your resources in the beginning, so that base building is easy later game. Now, this over here is high quality metal. If you melt this ore, you will get these pieces, which is very nice to use in base building. It's the highest strength for base building. And I mentioned that also you get metal fragments. This metal ore gives you these guys, which is very good for also upgrading your base. But generally in the beginning you go to just secondary base building, which is stone, which is the 2nd level. And then metal fragments is using metal fragments is your 3rd tier.